Has been Kings.
Oh, here's Giannis taking the feed from Dame and lays it in as he glides into the cup.
The Bucks in Sacramento battle it out. Our coverage starts tonight at 6 with Bucks Shoot Around on your home for the Bucks. News Radio 620 WTMJ Milwaukee.
9 o'clock on the dot. It's 13 degrees. On our way to high today of 17. Not going to feel like it, though. Wind chills 5 above to 15 below zero. Mostly clear. Cold tonight with a low of 5 above. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Adam Roberts. Happening right now on Milwaukee's North Side. Police investigating after a body is discovered in the road near 14th and North. This on the city's north side. The man pronounced dead at the scene. Vehicle skid marks can be seen near where the man was found. However, the medical examiner's office saying no cause of death has officially been determined. Also happening today, the Archdiocese of Milwaukee will install a new archbishop for the first time since 2010. Jeffrey Grob replacing outgoing Archbishop Jerome Listecki today at the Cathedral of St. John. Marquette University canon lawyer Rebecca Roish telling WTMJ today's ceremonies will include several historical artifacts from the Archdiocese past.
The cross that will be carried in the procession is from 1875. And that was carried by the first Archbishop of Milwaukee, Archbishop Henny. And the crozier that's being used, which is the shepherd's staff, is from 1891, which belonged to Archbishop Xavier.
The ceremony invite only beginning at 1:30 this afternoon. However, if you would like to watch the live stream of today's events, you can text ARCH, that's ARCH, ARCH, to the Siding Unlimited WTMJ Talk and Text line 855-616-1620. Also happening right now, the confirmation hearing for Pete Hegseth, President-elect Donald Trump's choice to be Defense Secretary, is underway on Capitol Hill. Right now, Representative Michael Waltz of the Armed Services Committee questioning Mr. Hegseth. ABC's Rachel Scott.
The former Fox News host has spent weeks making the rounds on Capitol Hill, fending off allegations of sexual misconduct, excess drinking on the job, and financially mismanaging 2 veterans organizations, all of which he strongly denies.
There are 27 senators in total on the Armed Service Committee. Each one is expected to question Hegseth today. Also breaking earlier this morning, a draft deal for a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas, as well as a hostage release, has been agreed to in principle, and if all goes well, per CBS News, that deal will be finalized by both Israel and Hamas this week. Officials say if final details are signed off on and the Israeli government also votes to approve it shortly thereafter, implementation of the deal could begin this weekend. Women, roughly 3 to 4 of them, will be among the first installment of roughly 30 hostages set to be released by Hamas, this according to U.S. and regional sources. Time now for news about your money, the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Stocks this hour in the green just slightly. The Dow up 129 points at 42,426. Meanwhile, the Nasdaq is up 71 at 19,159, and the S&P 500 up 16 points this morning at 5,852. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Sports, traffic, and weather coming up next. Siding Unlimited WTMJ News Time is 9:03.
You're right, and I'll agree. It does sound too good to be true. But offering you affordable treatment that alleviates pain, which really does work, that we've seen in most cases insurance paid for in full, is a definite reality. It's pain relief, really. And these are FDA-approved treatments. They're safe and proven to reduce inflammation and alleviate pain. Yeah, you'll have to get a couple of shots, and I know that can scare people. But the needle is extremely small. And after giving shots like this hundreds of thousands of times, you'll see we make it very easy. You're going to feel the relief that our powerful pain relief agents give you. They're pain relief drugs that solve pain problems. And the way I feel is that Rejuvenex should be the first stop for anyone living with pain in shoulders, hips, elbows, and knees. At $65 per joint, per injection, it's probably the most affordable pain relief option available that actually works.
Rejuvenex. Alleviate your pain. Rejuvenate your life.
Rejuvenex Google reviews will tell you more.
Hey, Wisconsin, WTMJ's Greg Matzik here for Holiday Automotive in Fond du Lac, where the New Year's sale is on. Hey, is there a new Chevrolet, Buick, or GMC in your future? Connect with Holiday and find one that's right for you. Stack it with their low, simplified price, get more for your trade, then pair it all up with the season's best offers. Ready to take the roads this winter with confidence. Another great option. Check out a GM certified pre-owned model. Enjoy the peace of mind benefits like 2 factory-backed warranties, scheduled maintenance, courtesy transportation, and roadside assistance all included. Driving a GM certified vehicle from Holiday is a no-brainer. I know you'll appreciate Team Holiday's welcoming, friendly, and genuine guest care. It's the stuff that delights and makes fans of drivers from all over. Fans like me and thousands of others who drive Holiday, Wisconsin's #1 Buick and GMC dealer. Find yours and discover the difference at Holiday Chevrolet, Buick and GMC, Highway 41 and 23 in Fond du Lac, and at holidaygm.com. It's worth the trip.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update from the Gruber Law Office's One Call, That's All Sports Desk. Bucks and Kings at it tonight. Milwaukee currently holding the 6th seed in the Eastern Conference with their 20-17 record. Our coverage begins from Fiserv Forum tonight with Bucks shoot-around at 6 here on your home of the Bucks, WTMJ. The Marquette men are back on the hardwood in action tonight against DePaul, and Wisconsin men's basketball now up to 24th in the Associated Press rankings. They are home tonight at the Kohl Center facing Ohio State. Badger Sports Updates are sponsored by Siding Unlimited. It's siding and a whole lot more. Let's check those roads. Your WTMJ Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic. The good news is, compared to where we were earlier this morning, things have lightened up significantly, especially in Waukesha and Kenosha counties. The bad news is there are still delays, and we do have a fresh crash right now on the exit to 35th Street from 94 East. Already some lengthy backups from earlier accidents this morning on that stretch. Right now from the accident site at 35th all the way back to near the zoo is going to be slow through that stretch of 94 East. Also a little slow on 94 North. We got the left shoulder blocked due to a broken down vehicle near Holt, and backups are stretching from there towards the airport curve. Everywhere else, though, is looking all right so far this morning. In your WTMJ forecast for today, it's going to be cold. We got highs expected to be around 17. We will see the wind chills, though, struggling to get above 0 today, possibly down to 15 below 0 at times during the day today. It will be sunny and breezy as well. Clear and cold tonight with a low of 5 above. Mostly sunny. Some evening snow possible on Wednesday with a high of 24. We will then see a warm-up Thursday, Friday. Highs upper 30s to low 40s with a chance for some late mix on Friday night. Then the weather turns cold again on Saturday, 32 and mostly cloudy. Watch out for early next week. Indications are we could struggle to get above 0 for actual temperatures at times Sunday into Monday. Right now in Madison, it's mostly sunny and 1 above. Green Bay checking in 3 above and mostly sunny. Waukesha right now about 6 above, and in Milwaukee a bit warmer. It's sunny and 10 degrees. I'm Adam Roberts. Signing Unlimited. WTMJ News Time is 9:07.
Good morning, Wisconsin. So let's pour that coffee and talk to some experts about what's going on in Milwaukee, Madison, Washington, and beyond. Broadcasting live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue in beautiful downtown Milwaukee. It's the Political Power Hour on WTMJ. Here's your host, Steve Scaffidi.
Should we talk about the government?
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Political Power Hour on 620 WTMJ. Every week that means, well, most weeks I should say, conservative writer James Wigderson joins me. Today is one of those days. James, happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday.
All right, let's get to it. Wisconsin Supreme Court race is coming up very quickly. We're going to go from sort of all the consternation and in some people's minds, happiness about the outcome of the presidential election and the RNC, DNC, all of that. We'll have inauguration day in a week or so. But in Wisconsin, we are going to be celebrating the election. Is that the right word, celebrating? We're going to be having an election for the Wisconsin Supreme Court. The candidates in question seems like Susan Crawford, Dane County Judge, Brad Schimmel, former Attorney General of the state of Wisconsin, and a Waukesha County Judge, vying for the opportunity to serve on the Wisconsin Supreme Court. We can take this any way we want to, James. Lots of attention, lots of money. What do you expect to see in this race?
Yeah, definitely lots of money. One of the things that's going to benefit Schimmel in this race is that he did not draw a Donald Trump clone type opposition that would have been sort of a primary. It's a nonpartisan race, but generally speaking, the conservatives try to beat each other out, and the liberals candidates try to beat each other out. In this case, you really only got two candidates, Crawford and Schimmel, and so all the money is going to be spent attacking each other, rather than trying to differentiate themselves from somebody that's more ideologically aligned. You're looking at a race that's just going to break records for spending, and it's going to be on the Democrat side. They're going to be pumping the abortion issue, and on the Republican side, they're going to be pumping election integrity to try to turn on as many of Trump's voters as they can. And to that end, the Republicans are even going to make sure that on the ballot there's a constitutional amendment to protect voter ID laws in the state. So they're definitely doing their part to try to turn out the vote for Schimmel.
You know, when you think about this, these elections are a lot different than the fall elections. And I like the part about that you just said about trying to get the Trump vote out there. And certainly the voter ID question is certainly designed to do that. Do we expect to see big turnouts in this election? Or voters sort of going to feel like, you know, I'm fatigued from politics, I may sit this one out? What do you think?
I think you're going to probably see a decent turnout. I don't think it's going to set a record. I think the amount of money that's going to be spent and the amount of negative campaigning that's going to be done is going to cause some voter burnout. We kind of saw that heading into the November election, actually. There was only so much that the Democrats could do, for example, to turn out their voters. And I think that realistically, there is a certain amount of fatigue in all this from Trump. Plus, remember that Trump is just going to, no matter what happens locally, Trump is going to suck all the air out of the politics between now and then.
Is this a race that Trump would weigh in on, James, you think?
I think that he might if he sees an advantage to do it, but he doesn't need to because there's not two conservative candidates. But Schimmel has already done an interview where he's talked about the January 6th defendants, saying that some of them were treated unfairly and that some of the prosecutions that Trump faced were unfair as well. He specifically mentioned the New York case. And so I wouldn't be surprised if Trump weighs in. It's entirely possible.
It's not a surprise that these candidates are lean left, lean right. You can put whatever measure on that you want, liberal, conservative. I really don't care about that. But the sides are well entrenched, well known. So what is the difference in this race, do you think? We know Brad Schimmel from his work as AG. Not a lot of people know a lot about Susan Crawford from Dane County. I'm sure we'll find out a lot about her and Brad that we maybe don't know now. But as we sort of go through the next month or so, what is what's going to define these individuals in a way that we don't already sort of understand given their political leanings?
Well, I think the dredging up of their backgrounds is going to be a key factor in all of this, especially in the case of Crawford. She's a little bit less widely known. Republicans are going to attempt to try to define her as early as possible. They're going to try to portray her as soft on crime. They're going to tie her to the Democratic Party. He did work for Jim Doyle at one point. I mean, it's that kind of attack that you're going to see on her history in order to paint her as an out-of-touch liberal, is whereas Schimmel is going to be painted as a far-right extremist, and the Democrats are going to bring up his record as state attorney general, and also the fact that he's very pro-life and earned the endorsement of Pro-Life Wisconsin in past elections, and therefore maybe too extreme for the voters on that issue.
Hey, real quick before the break, James Wigderson joining us, a great writer, and we'll give you the information how you can find his great twice-weekly newsletter. Does Schimmel's work as AG for the state of Wisconsin help him in this race?
Well, where it does help him is in name recognition. Remember, when he lost the race for attorney general, he barely lost to Josh Call. It was a very narrow race. He could have asked for a recount. He didn't. He showed a lot of class in not asking for a recount because it wouldn't have changed the outcome of the election anyhow. But it was a very narrow race. He has a lot of name recognition as far as somebody that's been in a position of attorney general, and he has the experience of having run a statewide race before. He knows what it takes, and that is why he's campaigning from one end of the state to the other already. He knows that he has to work hard in order to win.
Here's James Wigderson, conservative writer. We'll continue the conversation after this on 620 WTMJ.
Hey Bucks fans, it's Justin Garcia from the Bucks Radio Network, here to tell you about the launch of the Bucks Central podcast feed. Everything Bucks, on demand, in one spot. From sideline to sideline, hear all the ankle-breaking, rim-rattling, and twine-tingling highlights, exclusive interviews, and more. Subscribe to the Bucks Central podcast feed wherever you get your podcasts. All the Bucks content your heart desires in one spot. Check out the Bucks Central podcast feed.
Hey, this is WTMJ. Steve Scaffidi for Advent. I love talking about Advent because it changed my life and it can change yours. If you have the poor sleep, the tossing and turning, the snoring, which is a big problem for a lot of people, I had all those things, and I said, let's go to Advent. Let's see what they can do. And I had a 30-minute visit, 2 docs, walked me through all the questions that I might have and put me at ease. And after a really simple sleep study done at home in my own bed, they determined my problem, sinuses and nasal passages. After a short procedure done in office, breathing better than ever, sleeping through the whole night, and that means not just for me, but my wife, Kathy, as well. If you struggle with restless nights like I used to, take the time to see how Advent can help you to find out how breathing well and sleeping well can make your nights better. Go to adventknows.com, schedule an appointment today, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
Hey, business owners, are you looking to sell your business? I'm sure you have plenty of questions. WTMJ's John Mercure here. Join me for our latest Annex Wealth Management webinar. I'll be joined by Brandon Lehman and Brian Lamborn from Annex Wealth Management as we answer your questions. Who should you consult? And of course, when is the best time for you to sell your business? Sign up for this free webinar on Wednesday, January 29th. Text WEB to 855-616-1620 to sign up for the free webinar. Only here on WTMJ.
Thanks for taking the time to join us on this Tuesday. Continuing my conversation with conservative writer James Wigderson. Life Under Construction is his great writing twice a week. James, how can they find that?
They can now find me on Substack, actually. They can find me there. Just look up James Wigderson on Substack, and you'll see my writings there.
And James writes about politics and a whole lot more. It's some of the best writing you'll find, so I encourage you to check that out. James, the passing of Jimmy Carter, President of the United States, certainly a president that's had a sort of a difficult presidency. It was not a great time in our country. Soaring inflation, lots of things that didn't work to the advantage of him trying to get a second term, which he didn't. But when you pass that much time in the time between he left office, and I think he was still a young man in his 50s, late 50s, and his passing at the age of 100, I wonder what his legacy is beyond just the Democratic representative in that office. Is there a greater legacy in your mind as a Republican conservative talking about Jimmy Carter?
One of the things that's interesting about Carter is actually how much he got under the skin of his successors. And I think that story will probably be told more in the future as we start examining the legacy of his successors and we start telling those stories, that the stories about Jimmy Carter trying to advance foreign policy initiatives on his own in his retirement as part of the Carter Center for Democracy and all that. I think that it was interesting that both Democrats and Republicans, as a result of that, kind of made a pact with each other that they wouldn't interfere with each other in the future. For example, you didn't really see Bill Clinton going out and trying to do his own foreign policy when George W. Bush was president. It didn't work that way. Same thing with George W. Bush when Obama was president. They kind of all understood that that was something that they didn't want to do because it had happened to them by Carter. The other thing is, though, I think that we have to look at, though, with Carter is he certainly lived a life as a humanitarian, and he did his best to live up to his Christian ideas, and that part of it, you can't take that away from his legacy. I mean, that's going to be something that people are going to talk about. It's not the greatest ex-presidency. I would say that John Quincy Adams, who worked for abolition of slavery, was probably had the best ex-presidency of anybody. But I would say that, Carter's work with Habitat for Humanity and other charities, I think, stand out.
We're just days away from inauguration. Biden's legacy, that will be written. Someone who's served many, many years as an elected representative in all kinds of offices, from low to high. Obviously, much of this most recent story has to do with his decline cognitively. I mean, some people argue about that. I think it was pretty obvious that was part of the issue and one of the reasons he dropped out of the race. Can we write that legacy now, or do we have to wait a bit?
No, I think we can sum it up pretty easily. The word is hubris. In the case of Biden, he honestly saw himself as a much larger figure than he was, and he didn't listen to his own rhetoric when he said that he was going to be a bridge to the next generation. Instead of acting as a bridge to the next generation, the one job that he was elected to do, which was end the Trump era, and instead Biden was just a bridge from one branch of the Trump era to the next. And history will largely forget him, I think, except for his failures, both on the economic front when he ignored the advice of even Democratic economic advisors and went ahead with his spending that spurred inflation in this country. And then on his foreign policy failure in Afghanistan, the disastrous withdrawal there that rivals the fall of Saigon, and his dithering in Ukraine, his refusal to give Ukraine what it needed to defend itself. History is not going to look kindly on Joe Biden.
What'd you make of the president's gathering for the ceremony in Washington, D.C., sort of the give and take? Not surprisingly, Donald Trump was sort of ignored by some, not all. I mean, Barack Obama sat next to him and had a conversation. Did you have any takeaways from that?
It's a very small club. Very few people can say that they experienced that. They were all there for the funeral, and they all have that shared experience, regardless of their politics and their backgrounds. It makes it very easy for them to communicate with one another because they have nobody else that can say that they have that shared experience. That's why I do think that Barack Obama and Donald Trump were able to sit there and talk and joke with one another during the funeral. I kind of mentioned in my newsletter that Barack Obama has a tendency actually to kind of laugh it up at funerals. It must be his defense mechanism. And so, to have the opportunity to joke around with Donald Trump must have been interesting. And the casual nature of George Bush walking in and hitting Dan Quayle over the head with the program just kind of gives you an idea that these are people that, have been through it. And now they're sitting there and they're contemplating what their own state funeral is going to be like and how they're going to be remembered. And I'm sure that just makes them rather uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It certainly make me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, you certainly feel mortal. And before we I want to talk about your new podcast coming out. The exchange and the looks between Pence, Mrs. Pence, and President-elect Donald Trump, former president, and former First Lady was that was something. That's one of those remarkable moments that history will look at for a long time.
Yeah, I got to say, had my wife been in Mrs. Pence's shoes, I think that Donald Trump would have gotten more than a dirty look and a cold shoulder.
Yeah.
So I kind of sympathize with her on that one. And actually, I felt almost bad for former Vice President Pence himself, who was trying to be civil in a very awkward situation.
All right, James, you are jumping into the podcast world just like I am. So let's talk briefly about what you're going to do and where folks can find it.
Okay, so my wife and I are world travelers, and we're launching Worldwide Wiggy, which is going to be a podcast on YouTube, as well as it's going to be on Substack, and we're going to be putting it out on Apple Podcasts and everywhere else you can find your podcast. It's going to be about our travel experiences, what we've learned, what we learned the hard way, some of our stories from our travels, some of the things that we would do, some of the things we wouldn't do again. And I hope that people enjoy it. We enjoy doing the traveling to begin with, and we're going to enjoy telling these stories as we continue to travel. My wife and I have set the goal that we go to one major destination every year, plus a couple other travel locations within the United States during the year. So we're going to have a lot of stories to tell over the next few years.
Yeah, that's going to be a great listen because James, just like my wife Kathy and I, we like to travel and tell those stories, and James is a great storyteller.
Thanks, Steve. Really appreciate it.
You're listening to Political Power Hour, 620 WTMJ.
We get it. You're on the go, and life gets in the way. Stay up to date on all things WTMJ with podcasts of every show. Available on WTMJ.com. And don't forget you can stream WTMJ online and watch your favorite WTMJ shows on YouTube. Every show, when you want it, no matter where you are. We are Wisconsin's radio station, News Radio 620 WTMJ.
We love being a trusted friend in the community for those who need an attorney but don't know where to turn. Our clients aren't the kind of people who typically bring lawsuits. Our clients have been hurt in a crash or accident and need our help and advice. I'm Frank Pasternak of Pasternak and Zergabel. Jeff Zergabel and I are injury attorneys living, working, and giving back in our community. When you need help from exceptional personal injury lawyers, go to Pasternak and Zergabel at injurywisconsin.com.
Hey, WTMJ's John Mercure here. So I was looking at some of the bushes that have overgrown on my property, and I love our yard, but I need dormant pruning. That's what takes place during the winter when it's safe to cut back things so you have healthier trees and bushes around your house. Check right now to see if you've got stuff scraping against the siding or needs to be cut back, and schedule it now. Design Build landscaping projects are a year-round topic. Landworks Wisconsin does it the right way every time. They help people achieve their outdoor dreams by creating beautiful landscapes. I love these guys. LandworksWisconsin.com. Check them out today.
So how do you underpromise and still get the job? We believe in our hearts we're going to do great work for you. We're just really careful about making unrealistic promises. At Semper Fi, we refuse to set the bar higher than we can jump. But be assured, that's the goal, to do all we can to jump as high as possible to try to exceed your expectations. We're looking to break records. That's how you win over customers, get really great referrals, and build a great business. When you're making a decision to hire an exterior remodeling company, character, integrity, and the feeling that the people you're about to hire are truly eager to show you how good they are should stand at the top of your list. This is Brad Youngluth with Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, your local, veteran-owned and operated exterior remodeling company. For your new roof, siding, window and door installation, or masonry work, you can count on Semper Fi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semper Fi.
If you're able to, please help the people affected by the California wildfires going on right now in California. Donate at redcross.org/ESPN. That's redcross.org/ESPN to help the Red Cross respond and help people recover. We got a couple quick segments with my friend Jeremy Janine. Urban Milwaukee is where you can find his great work. And Jeremy, as I'm watching the screen for any fireworks from the Pete Hegseth confirmation hearing, and I'll let you know immediately if there's any blows being thrown. We're going to talk quickly in these 2 seconds about a lot of money is coming from the Biden administration to Milwaukee. What's up?
Yeah, well, everyone knows there's this magical January 20th date where Joe Biden becomes a pumpkin and he's
Right.
thrown out of office. I mean, not quite, but that's Inauguration Day. So if you want to have any power, if you want to spend any money, now's your window to do so. Normally, there's not a panic about doing such a thing, but with the Doge, Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy.
I call it doggy. I still like that. But you can call it Doge.
Many people will mispronounce it, I'm sure.
Right.
Department of Government Efficiency, which is not an actual government department, which is now being set up in the White House.
It's a pseudo department.
Yeah, the big thing is they want to cut spending. There's a lot of money that's just annually awarded out of the U.S. Department of Transportation, and it would occur in June. It would occur throughout the year. The U.S. Department of Transportation is rushing to get a lot of that money out the door right now in January.
What are we talking about? Billions, millions? What is it?
In aggregate, billions.
Really?
For the city of Milwaukee, it was $25 million. It was, I got to look at my notes quick. There was another $1.6 million for a trail. There was a lot of moving pieces. And the question is, will that money stay here or will it be sucked up even though it's been awarded?
Yeah, yanked away, maybe, perhaps. Could this president's actions be impacted by the next president's reaction to his actions. That's sort of the interesting piece of this, because I think we're going to see a lot of that kind of stuff, because Biden has been pretty active lately in sort of issuing some decrees and some ideas and thoughts about what should happen before he leaves office. What's been the commentary from Milwaukee folks to this?
A lot of happiness. Tammy Baldwin's, of course, happy to announce this. The National Avenue is one of the biggest projects, but that was a project that was already funded. And by giving federal funds, new federal funds to this project, the state can now reallocate that money to another project, rebuild another, what's called a connecting or a trunk highway through middle of Milwaukee.
Lots more to talk about with Jeremy. He'll stick around through the bottom of the hour news, 9:30 for you kids out there. And don't forget, 9:45, the governor of the state of Wisconsin, Tony Evers, will join us at a press conference this morning about violence. And I'm going to ask him, of course, the big question. Running again, governor? We'll get to all of that. We have the latest local news with Adam Roberts. Before we get to that, latest from ABC.
ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. Defense Secretary nominee Pete Hegseth telling Senate members during his confirmation hearing today that he will be a change agent for Donald Trump if he is confirmed. Democrats like Ranking Member Jack Reed say that concerns them.
The challenge of the Secretary of Defense is to remove partisan politics from the military. You propose to inject it. This would be an insult to the men and women who have sworn to uphold their own apolitical duty to the Constitution.
Republicans like Chairman Roger Wicker admit that the former Fox News host is unconventional. High winds are back in Southern California, but firefighters are making progress over some of the biggest wildfires around Los Angeles. The Eaton fire, which destroyed much of Altadena, is now 35% contained. New study finds people over the age of 55 have a 4 out of 10 chance of developing dementia. Regular physical activity, controlling blood pressure, and getting your hearing checked can all help prevent it. This is ABC News.
Citing Unlimited, WTMJ News Time is 9:31. I'm Adam Roberts. As you heard, the confirmation hearing for Pete Hegseth, President-elect Donald Trump's choice to be Defense Secretary, still ongoing right now. Senator Jack Reed, ranking member of the Armed Services Committee, questioning Mr. Hegseth. Now, moments ago, as Hegseth was laying out plans for the Defense Department, a protester interrupting proceedings.
He, like me, wants a Pentagon laser-focused on lethality, meritocracy, warfighting, accountability, and readiness.
The protester speaking out against the ongoing war in Gaza was led out of the committee room, and then Hegseth allowed to continue proceeding. The hearing expected to take a fairly long time today. 27 senators on that Armed Service Committee, and each one is expected to question Hegseth. We'll have continuing coverage throughout the morning here on WTMJ. Meanwhile, Democratic sources indicating Governor Tony Evers giving serious thought to a third term in office. That would be a feat just one other governor, Tommy Thompson, has achieved. Milwaukee Journal Sentinel reporting sources close to the governor saying Evers is leaning towards an estimated 60% chance of launching a campaign. We'll learn more this morning when Governor Evers joins the Political Power Hour right here on WTMJ. That coming up in about 15 minutes. And later today, the Archdiocese of Milwaukee will install a new archbishop for the first time since 2010. Jeffrey Grob replacing outgoing Archbishop Jerome Listecki today at the Cathedral of St. John. Ceremony invite only beginning at 1:30 this afternoon. However, if you would like to watch the live stream of today's events, you can text ARCH, ARCH, to the Siding Unlimited Talk-In text line 855-616-1620. Time now for news about your money. WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. The Dow's up 157 this hour at 42,454. The Nasdaq up 68 points at 19,157, and the S&P 500 up 16 at 5,852. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Checking the roads, your WTMJ Johnson & Sons Paving Time Saver Traffic. Some good news for our traffic department. The roads are looking much more clear than they were even just an hour ago. No major incidents right now on the system. Lots of green on the map, so earlier crashes and delays have been cleared up. We're looking nice and good this Tuesday morning. In your WTMJ forecast for today, bitter cold for much of southeast Wisconsin. Sunny and breezy, a high of 17. Not going to feel like it, though. Wind chills around 5 above to as low as 15 below zero at times today. Mostly clear, cold tonight, a low of 5 above. Evening still possible late on Wednesday, otherwise sun and 24. Mild on Thursday, mostly cloudy, 36, up to 43 Friday. Then we turn cold, 32 and cloudy on Saturday. Watch out for Sunday and Monday. Early indications are it could be the coldest weather so far this winter. Right now in Milwaukee, sunny skies and 8 above. I'm Adam Roberts. Citing Unlimited, WTMJ News Time is 9:34.
Our favorite reason to choose Diamonds Direct over any other jeweler? Free service for life with no fine print. That's right. When you buy your engagement ring or any piece of jewelry at Diamonds Direct, you will never have to pay a dime in the future for sizing, cleaning, or routine maintenance. At Diamonds Direct, there's no gotcha clause, no fine print, no looking for ways to void the warranty. Diamonds Direct, the jeweler you can trust with a no questions asked 100% free lifetime warranty with no strings attached. Come see us to learn more.
Reason number 52 to choose Diamonds Direct over any other jeweler. Only Diamonds Direct gives you a 110% diamond upgrade guarantee. Diamonds Direct will give you 110% of your original purchase price toward the new stone. That's 10% more than you paid the first time. Guaranteed appreciation. Who else does this? There's no fine print and no minimum purchase requirement. It's 10% more, period. Buy with confidence. Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion.
WTMJ's Vince Vitrano here for Shopco Optical. Start the new year right. Use your vision benefits and schedule your annual comprehensive eye exam. You can check out new frame styles and order your annual supply of contact lenses all in one place. Shopco Optical is committed to quality eye care and will create personalized vision solutions tailored to your specific vision and lifestyle needs. New year, new you, new style. Call Shopco Optical or visit shopco.com to schedule an appointment at a location nearest you.
Elvis is back in the building at the Fireside Theater in Fort Atkinson. Live on stage, January 9th through February 23rd. Call 920-563-9505 or visit firesidetheater.com. Elvis only at the Fireside Theater.
Imagine all the things you dream of under one roof. You're thinking of eBay. Fashion, collectibles, car parts. It's all there. Go find the thing that keeps you up at night. eBay. Things people love.
Get your rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval to buy at ACCUNET.com.
Thanks for tuning in on this Tuesday edition of the Political Power Hour. Steve Scaffidi, and in studio, as he often joins me, Jeremy Janine, great writer at urbanmilwaukee.com, founder of that.
Co-founder.
Who are you sharing that title with?
Dave Reed, our publisher.
Well, Dave, we should bring Dave in sometime. That'd be a fun conversation.
He's actually a former college radio host at
Iowa
State.
There you go. He's got the voice for it. He's ready to go. All right. We were talking about the I don't want to say explosion of money, but there's a outpouring from Washington, inpouring into Milwaukee of funds from the Biden administration. You've got some details on that as we get set to flip the script on the President of the United States.
Yes. So we talked just before the break. We'll call it a raft of money. That was a topic of discussion a week ago, if that's the right term.
Yeah.
But multiple grants going out across the country. And there were grants that would otherwise be scheduled to go out in like June. And the fear from the Biden administration, although they're not explicitly saying it, is, well, the Trump administration could just eliminate this program. So it becomes a legacy grant. You can say 10 years from now, the Biden administration gave the grant for this project. And in Milwaukee, what that's meant is $25 million that pays for most of a $39 million project to rebuild National Avenue from 1st to 39th Street. We'll talk more about that one. $38 million to fund 6 years of the new Amtrak Borealis train between Chicago, Milwaukee, several other Wisconsin communities, and the Twin Cities. And then $1.6 million to design the 30th Street Trail. That's the rail line that runs through the middle of Milwaukee from basically American Family Field north to, I think it's Silver Spring Drive.
Yeah, sounds right.
It's in a trench. It's above grade there, but there's an active rail line, so it's a lot of engineering design to get that designed, to create an actual plan that you could build. And that's been on the wish list for bike advocates and not cycling, pedestrian advocates, runners for years to get this Central City Trail built. Wauwatosa also just got a grant to separate a different rail line, put a street to go under it. There's been 3 collisions there, I think, in the past decade.
I thought you were going to say take out the turkeys.
Maybe we'll come back to that next week. And then $1.9 million went to Superior for another grade separation project. That's to eliminate actually a rail crossing, to go above or below the train tracks. Those things aren't cheap, but there's an increasing push, this bucket of money, to continually be used to do them. There's Fond du Lac County. I know there's several other communities across the state that got that.
What do you think the $25 million National Avenue thing is about?
So that is the most interesting one to me, because that project was announced in 2020. it is already funded through the state's just normal funding process of funding road reconstruction. The state, even if it's National Avenue, you think if it's a local road in Milwaukee, but it's really a state highway. It's State Highway 59, I believe. So that project was funded already, and the federal government came in with this discretionary grant program known currently as RAISE. It was billed during the prior Trump administration. It was Tiger under Obama. I'm sure Trump will rename it again just because that seems to be what incoming presidents do. But this project was funded. It was ready to go to construction next year, and now all of a sudden it's refunded. And what that is basically a gift to the state of Wisconsin to be able to take that existing federal and state money and city money and rebuild a different street now. And I'm sure there'll be lots of clamoring for what street that is.
And the Borealis piece is interesting because, I mean, obviously conservatives like to complain about rail and mainly how it's, called high speed and all that stuff. These are popular routes that I've taken train to Chicago many times. It's easier. I don't have to park a car. I don't have to drive the car. I can sit and relax in the quiet car. So and then obviously the Twin Cities and Milwaukee are very connected. I used to drive that route for years. I think it's a necessity, but again, there's always this opposition to rail that we hear about and certainly read about. Do you think I'll just ask you point blank, do you think these things will survive the next administration?
I don't think all of them will survive. And the reason is that the federal government right now can say, we award you, Milwaukee, Wisconsin Department of Transportation, the City of Superior, this money. That doesn't mean they actually have the money yet.
Yeah.
There's the award announcement, then there's a grant agreement that actually gets signed, and then there's actually allocating the money. And at any step in that process, the Trump administration could try to pull the rug out.
Yeah, I was just trying to think as you were talking, if any of these ideas are things that Donald Trump's administration would want to do or fund in this case, and I'm not sure that would be a yes.
Yeah, I think the reason we're seeing these projects get funded right now is we're not seeing that federal government also makes lots of grants to rehabilitate airports, to rebuild highway interchanges. We're not seeing a lot of those rushed out the door. There must be confidence that the Trump administration supports those.
And real quick, before we get you out of here, before we talk to the governor of the state of Wisconsin, anything you're working on that we'll talk about next week?
School resource officers continue to be a hot topic. That is putting police back in schools and MPS.
I'm going to ask the governor about that.
I think that's a great thing to ask him about. It was included in Act 12, a thing the governor bargained for, but MPS didn't get any money to do it. It was just a requirement. The city got money. The county got money. Cities all across Wisconsin got money. The MPS got nothing, but it got this requirement. There's now a standoff, essentially, between what to do with bringing 25 officers back into MPS.
Always great information with the Milwaukee twist. Jeremy Janine, Urban Milwaukee, how can folks find your great work?
UrbanMilwaukee.com.
We'll talk to you next Tuesday after the break on the Political Power Hour, 620 WTMJ. The governor of the state of Wisconsin, Tony Evers. That's next.
Get the help you need Saturday morning with How To Radio. At 7, it's the WTMJ Fix-It Show with David Nason, featuring this week's guest, Capital Heating and Cooling. At 9, plan your dream vacation with the Fox World Travel Show. And at 10, get financial guidance during Money Talk. Contact Annex Wealth Management for an unbiased review of your investments at annexwealth.com. How To Radio, Saturday mornings on WTMJ.
If you're living with joint pain in your shoulders, hips, elbows, and knees, and you have Medicare or Medicaid insurance, coming to Rejuvenex to solve your pain problems is something you should strongly consider. First off, because our FDA-approved pain treatments have been shown in many cases to be highly effective at reducing inflammation and substantially alleviating pain. Secondly, Medicare and Medicaid cover Rejuvenex treatments, so your cost could be nothing, or next to nothing at all. Chronic pain will only worsen with age. This leads to a far more compromised lifestyle, depression, and soon they start talking surgery. And then what? You have to get in front of arthritis and chronic pain, because the sooner you do, by letting us begin to calm those pain points, the better. I'm Rejuvenex founder Richard Salinas, and we can alleviate your pain so you can rejuvenate your life. Go to Rejuvenex.com to request your free pain evaluation.
Get a new Tempur-Pedic mattress at Steinhafels and save up to $300. Add an adjustable base and save up to $500. Use Steinhafels 60-month financing and get a queen Tempur-Pedic mattress for just $48 per month. Shop in-store or online at steinhafels.com.
Winning in the NFL comes down to the basics, blocking and tackling. In retirement, the certainty of protection and income are the keys to success. And as a former NFL player myself, I have experience with both. Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons. Having played on winning teams with the Steelers and Falcons, studying game films helped me mentally prepare for the challenges ahead. Now I star in a new Hollywood documentary called The Retirement Retirement Deception to help you visualize and prepare for your fourth quarter of life. You see, you don't retire on your nest egg, but rather the income it can produce. This film shows you exactly how to protect your retirement from stock market drops and produce more income than you thought possible. And it's free for you to view. Call 844-763-2837 right now for your free streaming code to watch The Retirement Deception. Don't risk your retirement savings at the goal line. You don't need to be risky to have a winning strategy. Call today to speak with an all-pro retirement specialist to get your free streaming code to watch The Retirement Deception. Call today, 844-763-2837. That's 844-763-2837. MitchLyonsWealth.com, your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement.
Thanks for tuning in on this Tuesday. Scaffidi hosts Political Power, 620 WTMJ. We are waiting for the governor of the state of Wisconsin, Tony Evers. He's announced in a form of a press release this morning an Office of Violence Prevention. We'll get to that. Certainly the big question for the governor is, are you running for re-election? Some great reporting in the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel this morning on state of the race, Republicans, some of the names that are being tossed around, including my friend Josh Shulman, who I think is going to be on the program tomorrow. We'll see what he has to say about that, Washington County executive. Joining us now on the phone line is the governor of the great state of Wisconsin, Tony Evers. Good morning, Governor.
Hey, Steve. How's it going today?
I am well, and since I haven't had a chance to say it, Happy New Year to you.
Yeah, thanks. Same to you.
All right.
It's a good year.
I hope so, and I am always optimistic, and we've met enough times. You probably know that to be the case, and I know you're optimistic. Let's talk about something that's on everyone's minds, and I know you've been asked about it. I know there's reporting in the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel today, and I know you're not going to answer the question, but I can ask you anyway. Running for re-election, yes or no?
I'll decide after the budget. I'll be, obviously I'm weighing that as we go forward, but until the budget is done and that work is done probably in early summer, I would say that's the time that I will be making that announcement. But nothing new today. Don't know, and we'll wait and see.
How about if I ask it this way? I'll be persistent, and then I'll move on. What are the arguments for running, and what are the arguments against running?
Those are things that I worry about. I'm not going to be sharing that. But no, I'm not going to answer it because I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to run. I frankly haven't spent a lot of time thinking about it. Obviously, at some point in time, I need to spend more time thinking about it. But with the budget and all those other things going on, it's just not a good way to figure something out. Figure something like that out.
I'll ask this. I'll ask this, and I will move on. Does political legacy matter to you?
No, absolutely not.
That's pretty declarative. It does not matter to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
It does not matter to me. What matters to me, and always has, is getting things done for the people of Wisconsin. And there isn't a political gain or loss on that. It's just doing the right thing.
All right. You mentioned the budget process. Is your administration actively, I've asked you this question, I think, all the years you've been governor, actively involved in working with Republican leadership to find some common ground?
Well, it's a little, I wish I could say yes, but the answer is no. What normally happens, and it happened last time is a good example, is that my budget came out, the legislature started doing their things, and then we started to think through what needed to be done with, making sure that it happens in a bipartisan way, especially. And then last time it was around the Brewers and the issues around shared revenue. There was lots of conversations around that. Every single piece of the budget, no. We kind of worked through the legislative groups on that and our staffs, but. The big issues, and I anticipate there will be big issues again this time that both sides want, and as a result of that, we'll end up having conversations about those items.
Would you describe your relationship with Republican leadership, LeMahieu in the Senate, Voss in the Assembly, as better or worse than it was 4 years ago?
Yeah, I'd say better. Yeah, as I said last time with shared revenue, was that a really important thing? Yes, it was. And keeping the Brewers in Milwaukee, yes, it was. And so, yeah, having those conversations about big issues like that, I think is important. And as a result of that, I would say it's improved. And I'm guessing with the number of Democrats in the legislature now that there might be more opportunities for people to realize that there are bipartisan things that we have to get done. We'll see.
Anything on using the surplus to directly go back to the people who paid it? Tax credits, surplus, check, anything? Any conversation about that?
There's conversations on our side, and there'll be something in my budget. But I just have to, make sure people understand we've been cutting taxes for middle class people since I became governor. I think I put it in each of my budgets, and so that's nothing new. And I'm anticipating that we'll do that again.
Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers joining us on the Political Power Hour on 620 WTMJ. You've been critical of your own Department of Public Instruction, calling it a mistake. That's a direct quote. To change how students are measured on state academic tests. So I guess my question is, so what will we do with that information? What, if anything, will change?
Yeah, and first of all, and I know this because I was in that position. That's an independent agency run by an independent person that was elected by the people of Wisconsin. My problem with all that, I haven't even taken a close look to what exactly was done to the testing results, but it seemed to me that it caught many people by surprise, and it just seems like if the state superintendent had reached out to more people people that are involved with our public schools, I think it would have been a better result. Whether what she did was right or wrong, I don't know about that. All I know is that there are a lot of people that seemed exceedingly surprised by the change and wish that they could have input. And so that's my concern.
Yeah, I think on both sides there's been those questions. Would you consider endorsing a candidate in that race for superintendent of public instruction?
No, I'm not. For sure not now, because we have a primary, and so I will not be doing that. And then after the primary, we'll see. But at this point in time, absolutely not.
The other one that you've been very vocal about is the failure of MPS to install school resource officers. I've been very vocal about my criticism of MPS. I do not understand a year later when it's required by law. We constantly go back and forth. The Milwaukee mayor's weighed in. Certainly MPS has had commentary. What should happen to MPS if they continue to, in my words, stonewall this state law?
Yeah, and that's just it, Steve. It is a law. And it needs to be followed. No, I don't think we're going to throw anybody into jail on that. But it looks like the city agrees to it. The mayor wanted it. Possibly the issue might be who helps pay for it. But the bottom line is we just have to get this done. It seems ridiculous. I agree with you. If something's passed in the law, we should anticipate that whoever it impacts will follow through. And I believe it has to be done, and the sooner the better. I agree with you. I don't think we're going to be able to throw anybody in jail because of it. But at the end of the day, I don't think the city or the school district can afford not to follow the law. That seems wrong.
I know that you talked about giving voters and residents of Wisconsin a chance to change the rules, change the laws. It was met with a DOA response from the Republican leadership. Make the case.
Well, certainly. There's many states, I think it's over 20 states in this country that have the people of the state has an opportunity to through ballot initiatives to create law and get it passed. And I think that's important. There's several things, and you can go through the list of things that if you look at the Marquette poll, most people support it, and the Republicans don't. Well, and the people of the state of Wisconsin should have an opportunity to weigh in. And so hopefully we'll find some measure that will allow that to happen. I think it's important. I think it's important to, if you get the population of Wisconsin, the ones that are voting, to get behind an initiative, they should be able to make that happen. It seems to be a logical thing for us to do.
Last thing for you, Governor. I know you have to get off on your day, but you signed an executive order this morning creating a Wisconsin Office of Violence Prevention, essentially funding efforts sort of looking at gun safety reform and other initiatives. Walk us through that.
Certainly. Well, it's an office that will be in the Department of Administration. It's a way for us as a state to take this issue around violence, and especially gun violence, seriously. And so we'll be working with all sorts of people across the state. It's an opportunity to bring people together on these important issues. People are tired of the violence. They're tired of gun violence in particular. And we lead the nation in many places, or in many parts of this issue, especially in gun violence, and we just can't stand for that anymore. So we're putting this office together, and we're putting $10 million behind it, and that money will help us work with other agencies and organizations across the state to really bring some unanimity on this issue. It's really important to bring people together and solve this problem.
Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers, always appreciate you taking the time to talk to us and our fans and listeners. Happy New Year, and we'll talk again.
Yeah, take care, Steve. Have a good one.
You're listening to Political Power Hour, 620 WTMJ.
Wisconsin's Morning News is here for you every weekday morning starting at 6 a.m. Vince Petrano.
Another brewery group is ending its run in Milwaukee, but will continue on as it's bought out by a larger organization.
Eric Bilstad.
The driver of the Tesla Cybertruck that exploded outside a Trump hotel in Las Vegas is now being identified.
And traffic with Debbie Lozica.
894 eastbound, still lit heavy from the Hale interchange all the way to 84th Street.
The news you need to know. Wisconsin's Morning News on WTMJ.
Hey, this is WTMJ Steve Scaffidi for Heiser Automotive. I love talking about Heiser. You know this because I get to drive their great vehicles and have for the last 5 years. Actually, my wife Kathy and I just bought a vehicle from Heiser, a beautiful Trailblazer. But I'm driving a 2023 Chevy Silverado. This thing is amazing. 1500 LT, beautiful color, glacial blue metallic. Go check it out online. It's amazing. You can actually buy it right out from underneath me. Go to Heiser.com, see all their new and pre-owned vehicles. This thing has great gas mileage. All the towing capacity you need. Got a boat, trailer, whatever you need, it's there. It's comfort inside. Technology amazing. Keyless start in the morning, especially on cold, chilly days like today. Awesome. All their great programs you can take advantage of. Safe and sound. Vehicle exchange. Don't love it? Exchange it. Roadside assistance for life. Keep you safe wherever you are. One of many reasons to go to Heiser. One of 5 great locations.